Yeah.
Hey, listen, I gotta go, because since we've got his first personnel committee, I gotta time that. Okay, we'll call the Personnel Administration Committee meeting to order. First thing, we need approval of the minutes of the prior committee meeting. Supervisor McDevitt, seconded by Supervisor Garrity. Any additions, corrections? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Abstain?
I don't think I was on the committee, was I?
I don't know.
I could read, but I don't know if I was on the committee, and, you know.
Okay, do
No,
we have
can't, okay?
anybody that would like to speak during privilege of the floor? Travis?
Thank you, Matt. I just wanted to ask really why the Personnel Committee did not review the appointments the way they did a year ago for the IDA. And I'd also like to make, since I didn't have the opportunity to speak at the last meeting, I'd like to make you aware of a few things that have gone on in the IDA in the past year. Perhaps the largest thing, and you're all well aware of, is that WL Plastics is thinking of opening a rather large plant, which will be a tremendous value to both of the counties. And in order to do that, the IDA, by law, anytime they think about offering more than $100,000 in assistance, has to call a public hearing, which we did, and that vote was unanimous. So we had the public hearing, and of course there are 5 members on the board from each county. Of the 5 members, only 1 member actually attended that public hearing that by law had to be done prior to the vote. Matt Simpson did not attend. Craig Leggett did not attend. Nick Caimano did not attend. Michael Wild did not attend. Only Travis Whitehead attended, listened to the people that got up and had questions about the project. This is what a public hearing is all about. Heard the answers, which were, I don't know. I'm not sure. And the biggest questions came up have been questions that are still probably going to kill this project if they don't get answered, and that is, how do you gain access to that property? That is something that has never been established. So I did not know at that point in time, but there was a backup plan. They didn't even tell the residents about the backup plan at that meeting. The backup plan is to utilize what is acknowledged as a residential, a street not suitable for commercial traffic as entrance to this place. And that wasn't even mentioned. All they heard was, I don't know. Of course, the other 4 members of the IDA didn't even hear those questions because they didn't attend. So, you know, the chairman didn't see fit to even tell me that I was being not considered for renewal. I believe that he should have looked into this. He should have found out about things like this. And I do believe that I speak for the taxpayer more than any other member on that board. Not that there aren't other good members, but you do need another point of view, and that is we are giving up, you know, all the money that we give is taxpayer money. So if you go ahead and say this guy doesn't have to pay, everybody else has to pay more. That's a fact. And you've got to think about that, and I do think about that, and I believe that I deserve a spot on the IDA board. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, I would like to agree with Travis. I believe he does indeed deserve a spot on the board. I think the way it was handled was didn't portray the county in the most favorable of light. Volunteers are difficult to attract. I think this sends a negative message to the public. Sometimes Travis can make us all feel a little uncomfortable, but our process and our democracy is strong enough to handle the Travises of the world. And so I would hope that in the very near future, that decision could be reversed.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak under privilege of the floor? Supervisor McGowan?
I understand that, you know, it was Frank's appointment, and I respect that, but I have to say that I have, you know, spoken to Frank, and, you know, his reasons were his reasons. I do agree with Peter. I would think if we're able to move forward, it sounds like it might be a compromise, so what I would say we'd probably have to go with with Travis. You do great work, and I appreciate all you do and all the volunteer time that you put into this, and I do believe that you're a full advocate for all the taxpayers, just not for the town of Queensbridge, for the county. So I would like to see if maybe, for whatever reasons why, if maybe, you know, basically if we can approach you on the contents of approaching other people and how you present it, and not maybe make people feel uncomfortable because of, you know, because of the facts and the intelligence that you bring. Would that be something that, not that you need any coaching, I'm not trying to say anything, but, you know, from what I've reached out and heard from, you know, the other committee meetings, committee people, that, you know, sometimes they're threatened by you, and
I believe sometimes people need to feel uncomfortable, you know, in order for change to occur. It's not my first hope of the way I do first attack something, but, you know, there's a lot of tools in the box, and that's one of them.
thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak under privilege of the floor? If not, we're going to jump ahead in our schedule, in our agenda here to number 6, and that is a request to be discussed by clerk of the board. I'll turn it over to Amanda.
There's a request in here to amend Resolution 440 of 2019, which authorizes payments for services submitted by the Warren County Coroner. That kind of lists what we're authorized to pay. So since we switched to Glens Falls, there's been a problem. Actually, I'm going to let Terry, so our former coroner, probably can speak more to this.
Thank you for letting me speak on the behalf of the coroners of Warren County. We switched in July of last year to Glens Falls Hospital. Glens Falls Hospital had a little bit of an issue late December, early January. We went 6 months, almost 6 months, without having a problem with storage. I say storage, I use that term loosely. We didn't have enough room for our deceased, splitting between Glens Falls Hospital and the coroners. Unfortunately, it was a busy end of the year and busy beginning of this year. Glens Falls Hospital has, we utilized M.B. Kilmer Funeral Home in South Glens Falls that has a large storage facility, and they were very nice to transport our patients to their facility and transport them back, and provide they locked their facility for us, so nobody had access except for Mr. Kilmer, George, and one other funeral director. So we would like to reimburse them for their, and it was a minimal cost of $100 per transport, $100 from the hospital to their facility, and $100 back. They were doing this at 5 in the morning, and as late as 2 in the morning, or as early as 2 in the morning, for us, so we would not have any delay in autopsy times. And it's $50 for them per day to start their facility, or start their refrigeration. So we'd like to do, it's not, I think there was maybe 4 transports total, so it'd be less than $1,000 total. Glens Falls Hospital has since looked at their facility, and they're going to fix that. They have not asked for any county help. They plan on fixing their own their own problem. They realize they don't have enough room for their own patients in that facility. So they're going to fix that. They're going to jump their capacity to probably 10, but they're going to up it by 8 spots. So we don't anticipate having this problem for very long.
I'll make a motion and get that on the floor.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor McGowan. Any discussion?
Mary, any problems with Ryan with doing that?
No.
Okay, good. So,
Okay, if we're ready, I'll call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to the top of our agenda, and we'll start with the Human Resources. Jackie?
We have the new 2020 vacancy tracking included. It's pretty short because it's new. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay.
Okay. My next item is amending the 2019 salary schedule for the Assistant Social Services Attorney position. There was turnover in that position, and we hired somebody at the entry rate per the new salary schedule for attorneys, and it was never formally amended in the table of organization, so we just have a motion to lower it to what we actually paid the person and correct the table of organization.
Okay, Supervisor McGowan, seconded by Supervisor Garrity. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, my next item is to amend the Warren County alcohol and drug testing policy for employees holding a CDL, commercial driver's license. And this is based on a new requirement by the Federal Department of Transportation, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Got it. They're establishing a clearinghouse, a national clearinghouse for information for those people holding CDL. Kevin is here if you want to explain a little more.
It's basically what it is. It's a clearinghouse to keep track of commercial drivers. Every person who holds a commercial driver's license will be in this database. One of the things we'll do here at the county is any new hires, we typically do a query on them for the Federal Motor Carrier to see if they have any ticks on their license, whether they've had any issues with drug or alcohol. We will do them in-house here as limited queries every year on every single one of our CDL holders. If something comes back that they have an issue, then we'll do a full query on them. And it's basically, as Tech said, it's mandated that everybody, businesses, municipalities, all municipalities here,
Okay. Moved by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, and my last item is to amend the personnel policies for county employees outside of the bargaining units. County has a practice where the employees outside the bargaining unit contribute the same percentages towards health insurance as those in CSEA. So CSEA has a new contract pending. So what we would like to do is have our policies ready to go contingent on the ratification of the CSEA contract.
Moved by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor McDevitt. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item number 2, referral from the Criminal Justice Committee, Public Defender. It's a request to amend the table of organizations and salary schedule to create and fill the new position of 9th Assistant Public Defender, annual salary of $69,891, effective February 24th, 2020. Supervisor McGowan, seconded by Supervisor Garrity. Any
It's all been
discussion?
vetted by committee. Yeah,
Yes.
it's all grant, isn't this grant?
Correct.
Grant money, yes.
Okay, if we're ready, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Go to item number 3, referrals from the Human Services Committee, Social Services. A, request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to create and fill the new position of caseworker, part-time, temporary up to 20 hours a week, grade 46, base annual salary of $43,390, effective February 24th, 2020. Supervisor McGowan, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Brad?
Can we, pull A and B together?
That's,
Well, now that we've already voted for A, I guess it doesn't matter, but I guess I should have looked ahead, sorry.
okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. B, request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to delete the position of caseworker number 11, effective February 24th, 2020. Supervisor McGowan, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 4, referrals from the Public Safety Committee, Office of Emergency Services. A, request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to create and fill the new position of fire coordinator, temporary, hourly rate of $45.60. 60.9, not to exceed $10,000, and delete the position of grant administrator. Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Sheriff, request to amend Resolution Number 234 of 2019 to extend the effective date for the building maintenance mechanic part-time temporary position to April 30, 2020, as well as to increase the annual base salary for 2020 to $48,673.83 in accordance with the 2020 salary schedule. Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Frazier. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 5, referral from the Support Services Committee, Weights and Measures. Request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule to create and fill the new position of Weights and Measures Inspector, per diem number 2, at $28.9285 per hour, not to exceed $8,000 per year. Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor McGowan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we already did item number 6. We'll go to item number 7. Request items to be discussed by the county administrator. Turn it over to Ryan.
I believe I haven't looked at the packet, but I believe the request sheet is in there. We're proposing to, for the 19 budget, just to clean up accounts, to transfer funding out of public nursing home salaries part-time and into public nursing home legal transcript fees, as well as the county administrator department into regular salaries, supplies, telephone, and postage. The reason why there's a $700 shortage in regular salaries is because we budget based on the calendar year, but there's an adjustment made at the end with the last pay period to journal back and forth salaries into the correct year.
Moved by Supervisor McGowan, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? If we're ready for the question, I'll call it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The second piece is to amend the credit card policy to add cards in the name of the Commissioner of Social Services and the Director of Health Services, both with a monthly limit of $1,000. And if it's okay, if Tammy's got the details on this.
Sure. So we've had some discussion regarding, actually this stems from the use of petty cash in these departments. With petty cash, it's some money that is spent prior to being audited. So it just makes more sense to issue small dollar limit cards for these two departments. So these small dollar limit purchases can be made with credit cards. All of those expenditures are audited by the county auditor prior to credit card bills being paid. So it should assist both of those departments. The other piece of that is we do indeed receive some money back for use of our credit also, in the, at a recent ITEC meeting, the county of St. Lawrence received about $150,000 back in incentives. So, you know, we're hoping that maybe this will grow and we'll get more additional money back. So, we thought we'd start small.
I'll move it.
Moved by Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The final item C is an update on the census. As you recall, we talked about this at the board meeting, and the board gave approval for a temporary transfer with the idea that it would be paid back from the state grant of $25,000 from the contingency account to authorize a contract with the Southern Adirondack Library System to serve as the pass-through agency for our census outreach program. That was adopted by the board at the January board meeting. We have since gotten updates from the state. The second day, Tuesday, of the NISAC conference, the state also held a conference on the census outreach effort. And here's what we've learned. And I called our man Rich Toby to verify all of this and get his feedback on it. We will not be allowed to, so first of all, we have not yet spent any of this money. We will not be allowed to use the Southern Adirondack Library System because it is not a 501c3. It's a 501c1. It's a collection, essentially. It's a consortium of public libraries. We had previously been told that we would probably be okay using the Southern Adirondack Library System. Now we're not, so I'm glad we didn't move forward right away on that. We also are now told that that $100,000 budget that Sarah and Wayne and everybody put together that you've all seen already, we've got to scrap that because the state is requiring 75% of our grant to be given to not-for-profits, so that not-for-profits can then go ahead and run the census outreach program directly rather than the counties. In the words of Mr. Toby, who is the Deputy Director of Special Projects for the Governor's Office, we are discussing but have not yet decided whether to consider all libraries not-for-profits and whether to waive the 75% requirement to do it through not-for-profits in counties like ours where it presents a hardship, because we have counties, not-for-profits here, that don't have day-to-day staff. And to give them this money from the state and expect them to administer contracts and do all that, it's just not, it's not practical. We'll never be able to spend the money. So Sarah is working to compile some real-world facts from these not-for-profits on why this doesn't work for us the way it would work in New York City or Westchester or the downstate counties that have robust not-for-profits. We will submit that to the state of New York to help them in their discussion as to whether they want to consider our public libraries as not-for-profits and to waive that 75% expense requirement. We don't know when we'll get a decision on that, but we'll get them the information as soon as we can. The eligibility start date, we had previously been told that the expenses starting January 1st would be subject to reimbursement. The state has changed their mind on that. The state has now said we will not get reimbursement for anything, any expense that precedes an award letter being made. Now the process to get an award letter is all your not-for-profits that are going to do this work for you. You have to get them pre-qualified by the state of New York. Then you have to fill out the RFA form, which the state made available last Friday, which I believe was the day of our economic growth meeting when we talked about this. You got to get your not-for-profits qualified. You got to put your expense plan into the RFA, which the expense plan now needs to be reworked according to the requirement that all of this money goes through the not-for-profits. Then they will at some point review the RFA submission. I asked when that review would take place and how long it would take. The response I got was, I don't know how long it will take. It's being referred out to the State Department of Labor, where Department of Labor staff will conduct that review rather than the Governor's Office or ESD, which is where the money is coming from. When you have that RFA approved, there'll be a back and forth. We want this expense, we don't want that expense. Well, there'll be a revision. When the RFA is finally approved, then you will get the award letter. That doesn't mean you'll get the upfront disbursement of cash, you're going to have to go through another draft grant disbursement agreement process to get a grant disbursement agreement approved. So for a while, even if we have our expenses approved in the RFA, we're going to have to front the cash to make these expenses. What else? I mean, we talked about the general time frame here, that now they're backing us out to even be able to begin spending money under this program. I said, are we getting into the territory where it's going to be too late for us even to have an effective program based on this time frame? And the answer was, well, we hope not, but it's going to be a close call. And we're not happy that we took this long to put all of the guidance together. So that's where we're at, and the Economic Growth Committee, we'll bring this again to Finance. The Economic Growth Committee referred it to Finance is to give the county administrator the authority to approve budget amendments, budget transfers, contract executions, and expenditures that are necessary to get this program going, with or without the state funding. The appropriation that we have in the budget right now, the $25,000 is earmarked for Southern Adirondack Library System pursuant to that resolution. If we want to start spending that money right now, you all need to understand that it's going to be county money until that RFA gets approved and we have an award letter in hand. So, and it's not going to be through the Southern Adirondack Library System as authorized by that resolution. So I'm giving this update to make sure that everybody understands exactly what's happening. If we're going to start this program right now, we're going to pay for it, and it's going to have to be through contracts that are not already authorized by that resolution from January. I'm happy to do all this if you want me to. I'm not eager to you know, essentially go around all of the rules and regulations that we have in place, but I will if that's the understanding of what this board wants me to do. And if that's going to happen and you want this program to start, that authority is going to need to be retroactive to today.
Supervisor Garrity?
It's just typical of the state of New York, just like the broadband program. You know, I've been hearing since 2016 that everybody has broadband, which they don't. Now they're all claiming that we need to do the census correctly, and yet the state of New York throws all these hurdles against the counties when we went out or had people go out and just devise a plan where we could count the Warren County residents. So it's typical of the state. It doesn't surprise me. You know, maybe he won't steal our sales tax money for Medicaid, but he'll take the census money. It's ridiculous.
Supervisor McGowan?
I would just like to add on to that, and a comment that was brought up at the committee. 9 years. 10 years ago they did a census. 9 years, they had 9 years to get this all ready, and now we're down to the 5th hour. So we have an opportunity to lose a lot of money by not having this in place. My question would be is, if all the counties across New York State don't have an opportunity to get this all in place so we can get a correct count, so we can get every final dollar, where does that money go? Just into the state coffers?
Correct.
I just wanted to go on record as being able to say that, because this is what I don't understand. You cannot make this stuff up, and I'm leaving out a word that I normally say with it. So, this is wrong.
Supervisor McDevitt?
It's our conclusion to let our administrator basically run with this and put it together.
I think the census is important.
Okay, I agree.
You know,
Yeah,
we need to...
Yeah, so my position would be that we enable our administrator to run with it and figure it out.
We'll bring it to Finance. It's on the agenda for Finance, and I'd like the county treasurer's input if he has any concerns about it, just to make sure everybody's on the same page when we get into Finance.
Okay.
So, does he have a
Supervisor-
second?
I'm
Supervisor
sorry,
Wild.
Mr. Chairman, I just realized that I am on this committee, but I just wanted to let everybody know that it came through the Economic Growth Development, that committee unanimously in support of this.
So we have a motion from Supervisor McDevitt to continue. Do we have to do something retroactive to negate that?
Well,
here?
this committee can act on it. You don't have to, because it was a referral from Economic Growth to Finance. But because this is my reporting committee, I'm reporting on it.
Okay.
So it's a motion to refer this to the Finance Committee for funding. Seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ryan, do you have a short list of 501c3s that you're considering at this point?
They've all participated in the census outreach group. Sarah could let you know who they all are.
So we have had as many local nonprofits as we could get involved on our Census Complete Count Committee. One of the requirements for being certified through this process is they have participated on the Complete Count Committee. So we have NAACP, Glens Falls Association for the Blind, Glens Falls Family Association, Family Services, North Country Ministry, Habitat for Humanity. I think there are a handful more, but those are the bulk ones. However, I sent out an email when we found out, Crandall Library, I sent an email out when we found out this requirement, asking if anybody was willing to step up and take the lead. You know, they've all been attending the meetings and just been discussing our plans with the understanding that the county would be taking the lead and conducting the outreach, and that these nonprofits would play a supporting role. They're all small, you know, very small staff, small budgets, not a lot of time, many volunteers. So I sent out an email, let everybody know of the change in requirements from the state, asked if anybody would be interested in stepping up and filling that role, and so far I haven't had any response other than the family, family, can't remember the exact name of them. They're considering going through the certification process, but they're not in a position to lead the outreach, and that is the general consensus.
What about Crandall Library?
I spoke with Crandall Library. They brought it to their board. They're not interested in taking a role in leading the outreach.
They're the largest not-for-profit, and they're not gonna go and get certified.
Is AHI 501c3 or?
Also Hudson Headwaters, I should mention. All of these nonprofits are interested in performing a supporting role, but asking them to take over and lead the outreach is definitely, I think, a huge shift in thinking of this project from what we were told in December.
Is AHI a 501c3, and did they participate in the coalition?
They have not participated, and I don't know if they're...
Well, if they haven't participated, they're not going to qualify.
You might want to reach out to Mike Biddle, and the Chamber has a nonprofit business council, and possibly there's some members who did well, if they didn't participate, but they may have some ideas.
Okay. Sarah, did you have anything else?
No, other than just, a change in what the money that we would spend would be different than what we discussed
Right.
before the meeting.
Right.
Supervisor Siebert?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you feel it's appropriate for me to wait for privilege for finance, I certainly can. I notice we don't have that at the end of the meeting anymore. But it seems to be the same people that will be on finance. I have a concern hearing our county administrator say, listen, he'll jump, there's rules and regulations, and while he isn't thrilled about handling it all as the board asks him to, he'll do it. To me, that gives me a little bit of pause for all of us then voting to move forward and have him take additional steps. What Supervisor McGowan just said rings true. This is something that's been prepared, coming down to our county for a long time, and it yet becomes what appears to be another unfunded mandate. If we continue to approve it, I understand how important the census is, but is there not a different alternative in the waiting period than, I guess Ryan has had the most to do, and of course, with other departments on the correct procedure moving forward, but what I'm hearing you say is given these new developments, it's not something that's making you, overly comfortable, and there's a lot of hoops you gotta jump through. I don't know if we're the experts that need to be, saying, yes, ignore those things and move forward. Should I understand?
No, Mostly I'm talking about our purchasing policy. There may be times where we have to do something other than what's in the purchasing policy. That's within the Board of Supervisors' right to waive because the Board of Supervisors sets the purchasing policy.
Okay. Anything further on this? Okay, we'll move to number 8, which are items to be discussed by the county attorney.
Sure.
Or
I
no,
have
Tamara?
one item that I don't need executive session for, and that I noticed yesterday actually that our mortgage recording fee was expiring in December. So I wanted to start the process of asking for the municipal home rule law today. So we would need a request for a municipal home rule law. Never mind, that's in finance.
Oh, so you don't?
Sorry, I guess I don't need that
Okay.
here.
We can make a recommendation if...
Nope, that's okay. So the 3 items I need to discuss need an executive session. It's the CSEA contract negotiations, a possible Westmount settlement, and then the litigation update.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion to go in an executive session?
Can we jump down and approve the vacancies first before we do?
They don't need to be approved.
They don't?
But I can highlight them. There are vacancies that have been approved for filling by the Oversight Committee at the bottom of your agenda, very end. If anybody has any questions on those, we could address those before the executive session. Okay.
You need a
So-
motion to go in?
Yes. Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor McGowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah, we need to report on out of executive session. First item is to approve a Westmount private pay settlement in the amount of $867. Somebody want to make that motion? Motion by Supervisor McDevitt, second by Supervisor Wild. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And the second item is to waive a personal jurisdiction issue, Vincelet versus Warren County, and not to approve any other extensions. Somebody want to make that motion? Supervisor McGowan, second by Supervisor Wild. Any discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is to adjourn. A motion by Supervisor Frazier. Do we have a second by Supervisor McDevitt? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So be it. Go to personnel, or finance.